What's good, everybody? Welcome into a very special Masters preview powered by Sports Pub. This is Cash Out with the Coaches. I am the coach. He is Travis Fulton. And Travis, we could not wait until next week to get people fired up, give them a taste of what the Masters is going to be like in 2021. I'm fired up, and I can't believe we're here already because it feels like just yesterday. We were watching DJ win in November. How excited are you, aside from that T-shirt?
Hey, wow, yeah, I've got my Jim Nance shirt here on. Hello, friends. How are you doing? Yeah, I'm fired up, baby. You know, it's time for round two, I guess. Here in the 6-month window, we got it back in November. The Masters was good to us. I mean, me, because I had the winning ticket one time.
Oh my God! When the beginning of the year hit, I said you can't use that anymore.
Okay,
but
sorry,
it was a big pick by you.
It was, but now I'm worried about DJ. He's not the same DJ coming into April as he was back in November.
Let's jump into that. We're going to do storylines first. So our first storyline, we got to start right at the top. In November, it was dominant. DJ showed the world why he is the number one player in the world. And he made Augusta National look like a pitch and putt, which it is not. What do you make of the fact, forget about the withdrawal, but he hasn't been in form the last month. Does that concern you at all?
Oh, yeah, I'm concerned. I mean, I think there's a driver issue. I think, he's trying to work the new driver into the bag. He's struggling with that a little bit. These guys, that's a real thing, by the way. These vendors, TaylorMade, they come out with the new driver. It's a great club. Mm-hmm. But he had his gamer and it was dialed in before. And was it ever dialed in? Second at the PGA, first at the Northern Trust, second at the BMW, first at Tour Championship. This is the form DJ was in.
Crazy.
When he rolled into Augusta, second at the Houston Open, just blitzed the field on the weekend. And this isn't the same DJ coming in, next week at the Masters, 54th at WGC, 48th at the Players, couple withdrawals here late. I don't like the driver. I don't like the trend I'm seeing with the putter as well. Very, very concerned about DJ, Coach, for sure.
When he won overseas 5 or 6 weeks ago, he putted as bad as I've ever seen him. And a lot of people didn't see it because it happened in the middle of the night. But from that point forward, I feel like his putting issues have really affected the rest of his game. Because as you know, Trav, way better than I do, that if you're not putting well, now all of a sudden you feel like you have to hit it in that 8 to 10 foot window just to give yourself a chance to make these birdies. And I think that is where he is right now. And we've seen as much disgust as you're outwardly going to see from DJ. And I also feel like if there was ever time to get him, it would be right now.
Yeah,
it would be right now.
Yeah, I agree. You're not going to have any money coming out of my pocket on DJ this
time.
There was a lot of money coming out in November and it came flowing back in, but I'm going to keep that in my pocket for someone else later on in the show.
Well, a guy that a lot of people are going to be betting on, and this is our storyline number 2, is Bryson DeChambeau.
Yep.
Now, here's a guy, when you talk about in form, it's a relative term because he can win Bay Hill, and then he can come out the next week and seemingly doesn't know which way his driver is going. When I look at Bryson, to me, Augusta National was made for him. We use the term all the time. It's a par 68 for some of these guys because of the par 5s. It truly is. If he's hitting it well and hitting it straight, it can be mentally debilitating for the rest of the field when they think, I'm going to have to get to 14 probably to compete with Bryson before the tournament. I think he comes into Augusta all-time high in confidence. He knows he's the number one show, period, on the PGA Tour. And it's not close. And he embraces that. And the fact that we're going to have more fans this time at the Masters, wow, how exciting could it be if Bryson is in the running come Sunday?
He's going to put on a better show this year, this time around, than he did back in November. He was not a factor, T34. But he's going to be more of a show this year. He's going to be a factor this year. There's no question about it. He was impressive at the Arnold Palmer, right? Big golf course. Played it well. Then he played small ball at the Players, finished third. Tough to, WGC, the match play. It's kind of hard to really put your arms around that one.
Yeah, it is.
But I agree, Coach. I think he comes in with terrific form, and I think Bryson will very much be a factor this year when he wasn't 6 months ago when the Masters was held in the fall.
Well, I know that DraftKings came out with their pricing on the Players this week. I'm going to be very interested, Trav, to see what the actual odds are on the guys next Monday
Mhm.
when they really come out for the head-to-heads, the overall, odds to win, because I think Bryson and DJ are going to be right there in that, plus 1,000 to plus 1,500. I think it could, depending on how the public wants to bet, you could see Bryson as the betting favorite. I could
Yeah,
see
you
that
could.
happening.
I
Yeah.
would not be a bit surprised. I wouldn't be a bit surprised, knowing what we just discussed with DJ,
Mhm.
another withdrawal late in San Antonio. Bryson in his form, I would be shocked really if Bryson wasn't the favorite really going in when they tee it up on Thursday.
All right, storyline number 3, and this is always a storyline when we come to Augusta, and I think a lot of us are surprised that Rory McIlroy hasn't completed the career Grand Slam, but every year that ticks off, Trav, is another year that he doesn't get it done. The form he's in right now, I mean, you've seen it. I don't feel good about his chances.
No, I don't either. We talked about it with Rory. This, going after the distance, the influence that Bryson had on his game, feeling the need to go out and trying to swing harder at it. He's worked himself now into a little bit of a hole. I mean, he did not look good at the Players, really didn't look good at the WGC. And now he's hired Pete Cowan as a coach. This is kind of get the process started, get the right things going. And now Rory's going to have to kind of feel his way through. It feels like there's going to be a little bit of a runway here with Rory to get the swing back under control, where the driver becomes dominant again. The iron game starts to become that little top more shelf. And, the putter, you could see the residual effect from losing the ball striking negative 6.4 at the Players. You start putting all that pressure on your putter, and Rory's not the kind of putter that's going to carry his game, with the flat stick, right? You can do it from time to time, but Rory has to be dominant with the driver first and foremost. Let the irons go to work, be a little bit positive in the strokes gained putting, and then all of a sudden, right, you have the Rory McIlroy. This is not the same Rory that we're used to talking about with Rory. This is now kind of a slow, not a rebuild, but get things back in order again, build the confidence slowly. I would be surprised if Rory was a factor late on Sunday.
It's hard for us as real golf fans to wrap our head around the fact that a player like Rory needs to reboot, or a Fowler who's not even in the field has to reboot. It's hard for us to adjust to that. I think we're all really struggling with the Rory situation because he is so honest about everything and he's so forthright about everything. And he's got talent that is, when you just talk talent, it's unmatched on the PGA Tour. He's got more talent than anybody. But to watch him struggle and not know how far certain clubs are going or which direction they're going to go. And we know at Augusta, the rough is really nothing. The second cut, my apologies. But it's all about the green complexes. And that's the defense of Augusta National. And if you don't know how far your iron shots are going, now you've got to be tight in the short game.
Yeah.
And if the short game's not tight, then you really start to struggle. And those are all things that he is struggling with right now.
No, he's struggling with all of it. Yeah. I mean, it's D, all the above at this point. It's the distance, you're hanging back, you're not rotating. You start losing the face, the variance gets bigger. I mean, it's just, these are all the things that happen when a player chases distance. Rory is another example of it, like a Jordan Spieth. And now it takes a while to work yourself out of it. He will, but this seems a little soon.
I agree. All right, our fourth storyline before we get into our favorites and our underdogs is Patrick Reed. He's a former Masters champion. He really solidified himself as a superstar on the PGA Tour when he won the Masters a couple of years ago. And he has continued to be a headline maker, and it's not always for the right reasons. But when you take all of that stuff and you throw it out the window and you get back to his game is suited for Augusta National. He loves coming here to play. Right now, he's not in the best form. We know that. But for some reason, there's certain players that when they come down Magnolia Lane, they just flip that switch. And I feel like Patrick Reed is going to become one of those players every single year. And I would keep my eye on him next week.
I mean, he was top 10 back in November. Obviously, he won the Farmers. He's a guy that has made some changes recently, probably in the last, 7 or 8 months with David Ledbetter, and trying to get a little bit more control of the face and the approach game. I think the net effect has been okay. to this point as far as moving the needle and maybe what he would like to see. He hit the ball good at the Farmers, clearly. Hit the ball good at the WGC. Didn't play good at API, and I don't think really hit the ball that good at the Players as well. The one thing you're getting with Patrick is the flat stick. The putter has been good. He understands these greens. He's probably going to be better than most of the field with the flat stick. The short game, he's one of the best in the world.
No doubt.
I think with Patrick, you're trying to project the iron game, right? Is the approach game going to show up? And if it does, and it's good enough, and then you put him in the mix, you know what he can do, right? He has a presence. He's not afraid to go away. So he's a tough one to project.
Yep.
I'm probably a little further down on Patrick right now going into this, just given what I'm seeing in the approach game. But hey, would not be surprised to see me show up plus 3 or 4 in the approach game, get in the mix, and all of a sudden here we are, Patrick Reed late on Sunday again.
if he can get that fade locked in, which we know he hasn't had before, if he gets that locked in with that right to left that he always does, he can be really, really dangerous around this track. All right, let's jump into our favorites now.
Yeah.
And clearly, when you're talking about favorites outside of DJ and Bryson, you got to talk about JT. What do you make of him next week?
Well, it's going to be, and JT's interesting to me. He's figuring out, like DJ did over the last 4 or 5 years. DJ figured out how to play Augusta and just kind of progressively got better and better, and then he won it. And he was coming in with great form. We talked about that. JT, great form of the Players, not so great at WGC. So how much stock do you want to put into the match play? I think that's really the question here. I'm not putting a ton into it. I think JT's really hitting the ball well. I think he's on the right track with his putter too, as far as being able to quantify when he's great and then when he's not great. There's still that gap in there with JT,
Agreed.
And so I think he's on the right track as far as that. You look at him last year, he was 4th. At 6 months ago. 2019, he was 12th. 2018, he was 17th. Then he was 22nd in 2000. So this is kind of the same trend that DJ was taking. Very similar track. So Justin, I think, knows how he needs to attack Augusta. I think you're going to see the iron game on point. I mean, he is one of the best ball strikers in the game. Can he eliminate that one round where it just seems like the putter just goes away and he makes nothing? Can he shoot the 66 that you kind of expect from him and then turn that 71 into 69 perhaps?
That's the secret.
And that's kind of what I feel like we're at with GT, but he's going to be one of the favorites, deservedly so. I kind of like him. I feel like a green jacket for JT is in the near future. I really do.
I'm so in love with JT right now and everything that he does, and I really
in love with JT.
I really am. I love his killer instinct. I love how badly he wants to win every single time, which is why his performance at the WGC really surprised me. But everybody loves JT, and I think there's no question he wins a Masters at some point, probably multiple. My favorite I want to hit on is Jordan Spieth, and I think the dialogue of is he back has got to stop, because we're now talking about the first 3 months of the year. He has been dynamic. He just hasn't been able to put those 4 rounds that we always talk about together. Yep. But now this is a place that he loves. He plays well. Ever since his first trip, he has played well, which nobody plays well on their first trip. He did. And I think he's in the kind of form that he can get to 16 under and that he can start rolling that rock again. So I'm very bullish on Jordan Spieth, and to see where the odds were in January, like 50-1, and now to see where somewhere around 15, it shows you how far he's come.
Oh, he's come a million miles, and he's seen it through, and he's made it. I'm not surprised. I expected him to come back on the other end. I think he will win. I mean, if he wins Augusta, how incredible is that going to be for the sport to complete the comeback there? I would not be surprised if he wins in San Antonio as well with that field. I think with Spieth, the approach game now is becoming top shelf again. And that's, that iron game, last 5 events, on average, he's averaging 4.5 plus in strokes gained approach. That's a big number.
That's a crazy number. That's a
great
crazy number.
And
Yeah.
it's just continuing to trend the right way. The putter's been good. His wedge game is magic. Just hit that bullet fade out there. Be conservative off the tee. Keep the irons in your hand. And there's no reason why, Coach. I agree with you. He's going to be a factor.
I think this week is very important for him. I don't think he can stumble this week and go into it with any lack of confidence whatsoever.
Not with the driver. Not with the driver. I think that's a good point. Yeah.
All right. Our next favorite. You like to talk about Patrick Cantlay because, well, I'm saying in this instance, that was the wrong choice of words. My apologies. I meant to say about him on any course, that he can play any course, certainly Augusta National.
You know, Patrick Cantlay, this is only the 4th time he's played in Augusta as a pro. You know, this is his 4th time. He didn't
seems like it should be more than that because
right?
It seems like it should be more than that.
I know. I was like, wait a minute, let me go back through this. Okay, yeah. He played when he was an amateur, I believe, back in like 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. As a pro, he missed the cut in 18. He was 9th in 2019. And then he was 17th back in November. So he's kind of figuring out the course now. I think Patrick Cantlay is ready to take the next step, like a Xander Schauffele, right? Who I'm kind of a little bit more down on at this point. But I think Cantlay is ready to take the next step, win more, major championship. Does he have the game to do it? I think he does. I'm not putting a lot of stock into what happened at the Players. You know, those really volatile golf courses, it's tough. Like the TPC Sawgrass Stadium course beats up everybody from time to time. I don't put a lot of stock into that. Man, did he play great at WGC, right? I know I said previously, I don't put a lot of stock in that, but when you play that good, when you're that dominant as he was, I mean, that was impressive stuff. 7 birdies and an eagle to beat Harmon, who made 8 birdies. I think he shot 65. I mean, it was just crazy. Like
crazy.
He was just tearing it up. So, I mean, every part of his game is pretty darn good. I think it's a little bit like JT. Can he keep the putter good enough and avoid the lull, right? Because every once in a while with Patrick, you just see the putter go super, super chilly. And you get that big gap. And I know that's the case with everybody, but then you see the putter really good. So are you going to get great 4 days of putting? If you do, he's obviously going to be a factor. But eliminate that bottom layer and bring that up a little bit. And I think it's kind of the same thing with Cantlay. He'll do enough with the irons. He's a good short game player. Let's have a run here with the putter. And I think he can clip this thing off. I really do.
A bad round for the winner this week is going to be a 69. And that's where Patrick Cantlay needs to understand that. But we would never know because he's the most boring player on the planet. So I'm not I'm not rooting for him to win because it's just so hard to get him going. All right, my final favorite as we move through these, you already mentioned Xander. The fact that we're not even talking about Xander shows us where he has gone to. This whole top 25 stuff, that's not good enough anymore. But Jon Rahm, I think Jon Rahm is poised and ready to win his first major. He's got too much talent. He hits it too well. He loves playing Augusta National, and he's fiery. And you know me, I love my fiery players, like a JT, like a Jon Rahm. If people are overlooking him this week, you are foolish because I think he's going to be right there come Sunday.
What about if he has a child? I mean, that's the only thing, you know?
Have you ever heard of a player openly saying, if you were going to bet on me, I would second guess that?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you bet on him, he literally told you, I'm walking away if that phone rings.
Yeah. I just worry about his mental focus.
Is he even going to be there?
That's the only thing I worry about. I mean, obviously skill wise, he's, it's Jon Rahm and he's one of the best in the game.
It's his first child too. His first child too. Let's be honest. Anybody that has multiple kids, you do, I do. Yeah. The second one is a lot easier than the first. It's nerve-wracking.
I'll be home in like 4 days.
I'll see you when you're home from the hospital.
So I don't know. Okay. It's a tricky one, right? With Jon Rahm, is he going to go there and be focused and off he goes, or is he going to get the tap Saturday morning and be like, oh, we got to go?
Oh, how brutal would that be if he's got a 2-shot lead heading into Saturday and that phone rings and he looks down and he sees like baby or honey or whatever is in his phone and you're like, do I hit decline?
Yeah.
Do I act like the call never came in? Can't do that.
No.
You got to answer it and you got to get on that plane. All right, quickly, let's get it.
Calls him JR. Like, hey, JR.
JR?
Home.
And I mean today. What if you're that pilot that's just standing by at the plane, just waiting? Everybody, because that's real. There's got to be a pilot.
Sure.
It's crazy everything he has had to set up to get ready for this. But that's what happens when you're one of the biggest superstars in the world. All right, quickly, let's get to our underdogs here in our Masters preview. And thank you all so much for joining us this week. We'll have a full show next week, by the way, with all of our picks, our heads-to-heads, everything that we normally do. Corey Connors.
Yep.
He's a great iron player, and his name has been talked about a lot at the normal tournaments. What do you make of his chances at the Masters?
I love it. I mean, he was 10th back in November. I think the one thing you have to start to look at with Corey Connors now is I think he's the most underrated ball striker on the PGA Tour. You start rattling off names: Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson. You don't make it all the way down to Corey Connors, who's right there. I mean, he is that good of a ball striker from the approach game. And what's his downfall, or has been? He would miss a green. It was like automatic bogey. I mean, he was that automatic bogey dude.
Yep.
But he's not anymore. His short game is getting better, Coach.
Getting tight. It is getting a lot tighter.
This guy is going to win on the PGA Tour more than once. I promise you that. I mean, he's just that good of a ball striker. His short game now is trending the right way. You look at him around the greens, last 10 events in the positive on average. That's a big step. Last 10 events on average for putting in the positive. Now, albeit it's in the positive 0.08, but it's not -4. It's not -5, right? And that's the difference. You look at him at API where he finished third, positive 3.8 putting. That's a huge number for him. You look at him at the Players, 7th, positive 3.5 putting. That's a huge number for him. That's why he was in the top 10. Corey Connors putts like that at Augusta, he'll be in the top 10. Guaranteed.
I agree. And for those people that at home, when you go to look at the strokes gained and you look like you're looking at an algebra test or you don't understand, ARG is one of the most important stats for next week that you can monitor it all. Because when you miss a green, it is so hard to get up and down. And you've got to have a good short game or you will get exposed at Augusta National. One of my two underdogs that I'm keeping my eye on is a guy who won the first event coming out of the pandemic last year. He's been in form for the most part the last 10 months, and that's Daniel Berger. And I think he's a guy that his confidence, his swag matches up perfectly for Augusta National. He's not going to be intimidated. He knows he's as good as everybody else in the field. He's won multiple times. He just won at Pebble Beach, so twice. And I just think that he could be a guy that if we're sleeping on him next week, that he could be right there come Sunday as somebody that could really contest for the green jacket.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's always interesting at Augusta, like you hear about those high towering ball flights coming in, right? And those are what you want to have happen. I think Berger, he's that shut face player, kind of traps it. It's good off. You can probably do it off the tee and run it down there. The weather looks good, but is that trajectory conducive to winning a green jacket? I think is a valid question for Berger. Something that he's certainly thinking about, but his skill set, his craftiness, his competitive edge, as a guy that can go in there and compete and get in the top 10 and yeah, for sure. I think it's, can he hit those shots at the trajectories that are needed into those shelves at Augusta, which seem to kind of beg for that high towering trajectory.
I love the description competitive edge that you just use because he's got a super, super high competitive edge. But the other thing, people that are watching at home or listening at home, that Travis is talking about is that at Augusta National, these greens are so hilly, and to come in, you got to bring it in high so you can stop the ball. If you bring it in low, like a lot of these guys, like a Brendan Steele or a Daniel Berger, it's hard to stop it on these greens. And then the roll-offs are so penal that if you're not hitting it on the right shelf, it is so difficult. I couldn't believe it from watching it all my life to when I worked it for 3 years when I was at ESPN, how much different it is in person. Would you agree with that? Than what it looks like on TV, right?
100%. Yeah. It's very different there. When you're walking up and down those slopes and seeing the green complexes, it's a very different feel. It feels like 18, for example, on TV, the green feels really huge and grand.
Yes.
And then when you get there and you stand behind the green, you look down, you're like, dang, that green's not that big.
No. No. And it's also, to me, it's intimidating. It is the first thing I said, swear to God, when I walked up past the par threes and past the putting green, I said, how does anybody ever shoot a 65 here?
I know.
Because when you use the term big boy golf course, it's a big boy golf course that most people at home don't understand how big it truly is. All right, two more players that we're going to talk about and get out of here. A guy that is really showing up. He's playing basically full-time now on the PGA Tour, coming over from the European Tour, and that is your boy, Matthew Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised here, Matthew Fitzpatrick. I really like him and Connors. I'll be putting some greenbacks that I won from last year when I picked the winner of the Master. Oh, never mind. 26 years of age, Fitzpatrick, kind of coming into his own here a little bit in America, consistently, to your point. Playing good. He's really playing some good golf. The one thing you'll get with Matthew Fitzpatrick is you'll get the putter, and he's a crafty putter, very solid putter, maybe one of the more underrated putters that we have in the game. I think he's very good around the greens too, Coach. I think he's improved that aspect of his game over the last year. I think the experience that he's gained probably around there, he feels probably as comfortable he's been now at Augusta. Good driver of the ball. It's just, are you going to get enough in the approach game with him?
Yeah.
That's the question mark with Matthew Fitzpatrick. So again, these are long shots. They have deficiencies. I think with Matthew, it's probably the approach game. So can he do enough there in the approach game? And if he does, given the experience and how good he is around the greens and on the greens, he can be a factor. So he's not afraid to win, Coach. He strikes me as a guy who, he's got 6 wins on the European Tour. He's 26 years of age. So he strikes me as a guy who gets in that moment and he's not scared. He's ready to go. Yeah. Just get him there. And maybe this is the year, given the big names that are struggling.
It wouldn't surprise me if a lower tier, I hate using the term, but obviously he's not a superstar. The only thing that concerns me about him on the greens is he has a tendency to lose his focus, and he misses 3-footers a lot. And he'll hit them so hard they just go over the hole, and he'll turn a 68 into a 72. And you can't do that this week. And so that's the only thing that concerns me a little bit is his short putting, but I'm splitting hairs. So, all right, our final guy. We got to wrap this up in a positive fashion, in a positive light. And if this guy could make his first win on the continental United States, be at Augusta National, after all the cash that this man has stacked the last 5 to 7 years, it would be an incredibly popular victory for Mr. Tony Finau.
Yeah,
if he can get it done. Let's go, Tony. Let's go, Tony. Come on. It's got to happen. So why not it happen here? Why not?
Hey, why not? I mean, he's played well here. I mean, he's got the game, big boy course. He's got the length, got the approach game. I've been preaching to the choir here for he's a better putter than he used to be.
Yep.
It's all there, right? And can he? We're talking a win. I mean, can he finish in the top 20? Is a silly question.
Correct. Correct. I think I'm going to bet on him for top 20. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, that's
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But can he win? Of course he can win. You never say anybody can't win. But my gosh, Tony Finau tough down the stretch on a Sunday afternoon at Augusta with some roars.
I'll tell you this much. Live betting. I love live betting during the course of a round. If he's in the mix on Sunday, I hate to say this, Trav, but whoever he's playing, I'm live betting that guy all day. Because for some reason, Tony Finau figures out ways to lose. Sometimes there's great athletes that figure out ways to win. Tony figures out ways to lose. And it's almost at this point unbelievable that he has had the finishes that he's had and hasn't stumbled into a victory.
Well, he should have won the Waste Management a couple years ago, and he should have won Genesis. He should have won Genesis this year. I mean, those are two wins that are on him. Now, there's others that people have played well. I get it, but those are two that are on Finau with that instinct down the stretch, hit the shots, make a birdie in the last 5 holes in Phoenix, you win. Get the ball up and down from 10 in a great spot in the playoff, you win. So look, he's got to figure it out. The skill's there. Yeah. It's right here.
Yep.
Down the stretch, you've got to hit the shot. You have to hit the shot. You got to do this to win.
You can't fake it around Augusta National, right?
You know what? You've seen it. We've seen those stories come to fruition. So I'm not going to sit here and say it can't happen for Finau. He's got the game to get in contention, which I think he'll make the cut and be in contention. But can he push the needle forward late when the chips are down and it's on Finau's putter, wedge, 7-iron, whatever it is? Do it right now.
And I think that is a great way to end our mega Masters preview. We will be back next week in our normal time slot, 8 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday night, with a mega Masters preview. We may even do extra head-to-heads, extra top 20s. You never know.
This. I got this. I got 2 books. I got 2 books for the Masters.
Oh my goodness.
He always likes papers.
Travis likes to say, I need to have the meat. Well, he's got a lot of meat right there. And we're going to release that meat next Tuesday night. And it's my favorite week of the year, and it's not close. That's going to do it for us. For Travis Fulton, for our guy Cody Marrows, always makes this show look great, and our incredible partners at Sports Pub Media. Follow them on Twitter, on Instagram, as we grow this incredibly positive golf betting community that you're being a part of with us, and we could not be more appreciative. All right, I am the coach. Remember, this is the only place every single week that you get to cash out with the coaches. See you on Tuesday.
Mike Stone, Augusta Journey. Never mind.